Welcome, I'm Mary Pohl, your host for the Sales Mastery Summit. We've all heard that we communicate about 7% with our words, 38% with our tone, and over 55% with our body language. So tell me, how much time do you take to prepare how you will communicate versus what you will say? Today's expert has worked with world leaders and CEOs and is now focused on helping sales professionals achieve their goals by using the right body language. With me today is Mark Bowden, author of Winning Body Language for Sales Professionals. Welcome, Mark.
Hi there, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you. And I must say, I am ashamed to say that I have never focused on my body language when I'm preparing for an important meeting. So I am prepared to learn a lot today during our interview, as well as serve our viewers.
Well, you know, that's okay, because the reason I wrote the books that I've written on body language was really on how you can prepare in order to present yourself in all kinds of situations, especially sales.
Fabulous, fabulous. Well, you bring an eclectic background with theater as well as business. So how did you first realize that you really can help business professionals in how they communicate to be more effective?
Well, I guess it was back quite a way now in the dot-com crash, and I started working with companies who had bad news to give. And they wanted ways that they could give this news and yet people would still listen to what they had to say. Because, of course, what happens when you bring bad news to people is their mind closes down and they can't hear the instruction that you have for them and the help that you might have for them. So it first started then, really, and has escalated since then. And now I work, 7 days a week pretty much with people all over the world, helping them in how to project themselves in order to stand out, win trust, and profit every time they communicate.
Okay, this is very interesting. Can't wait to hear how you can keep minds open that way. Now, your most recent work has really focused on helping sales professionals both read others' body language as well as use their own more effectively throughout the sales process so they can build trust, actually create influence, and even enthusiasm during the sales process. So can you give us an overview of how you help with this?
Sure, of course. So the first thing I need to tell you is that you have a primitive brain, which in evolutionary terms, if we take evolution as a given, is probably about 500 million years old. And the moment it sees somebody new or recognizes somebody old, it decides whether they're a friend to you or an enemy to you, or they're simply indifferent to you. They don't care about you. And it does that within about a 50th of a second, and it does that based on what it sees in your body. It looks at your nonverbal communication and it simply decides friend, enemy, or indifferent. Now, we know as somebody in sales, we know for sure we don't want to end up in the enemy category. Yeah, because, look, we will get seen by that primitive brain if we're in enemy category, but everything we say, everything we present, every product or service we bring to the table will be framed in negativity. No matter what we say, the potential buyer will see it as an enemy product, an enemy service, dealt out by an enemy, supplied by an enemy company. So we do want to get in friend category, and I can show you in a few moments what some of those signals are for friend. But before I do, here's the important thing, is that there's 7 billion people on the planet, and therefore the default category for the mind is indifferent. So the moment you come to a new potential client, a new potential customer, they are designed to really put you in a indifferent category and ignore you and presume you have nothing for them. So we have to make a conscious effort to get into friend category with people. Does that make sense so far, Mary?
Perfect sense, perfect sense. And hence why 55% of what we communicate is happening, as you said, in that first 15 seconds?
Absolutely. Well, it's even less. It's
less.
A 50th of a second.
15th of a second.
Yeah, 50th of a second. So it's dead quick. It's what we call a knee-jerk reaction. It's an instinct. We have an instinct for the people we want to buy from, and we have an instinct for the people we don't wish to buy from. And we have a big instinct for the idea that most people we should never be concerned with. We don't need to worry about them, just don't bother about them. And so this is called a feeling that we have for them, and a feeling about their intention towards us. Is that, do they intend to be our friend, or do they intend to be our enemy? And again, 55% of that feeling, the data we need for that feeling, is made up of what we see in the body. A third of the data that we need to make up the feeling that we feel they intend towards us, that's in the tone of our voice, the music that our voice plays. And science would tell us that only 7% of the intention or the feeling is made up from what we say. So from that, we could kind of go, well, it doesn't really, in that first moment, it doesn't really matter what you say, it's how you present yourself that's important. I hope that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. And it seems that it's harder to differentiate from creating a feeling of indifference versus creating a feeling that, yes, I can be your friend and I'm a safe friend to have.
Right. Again, indifference is the default. So we have to work towards friends. Look, you'll know, you don't just make anybody your friend. The most of this planet, the humans on it, are not all your friends. You know that the majority of them, you just don't know. And you haven't got time to know them. So if somebody comes, knocking on the office door, or down your street, or you're walking into a store, or somebody approaches you from all the various methods to decide, are you going to be a potential customer or not? Your mind is simply going, let's just be indifferent to them and wait until our friend comes along to sell to us. And so that's what the work that I do is looking towards doing, is how do we move you into friend category for your customers and clients dead quick.
Okay, so we're having our first meeting with a new prospect, and we want to build trust early in that relationship and obviously get put in the friend category. So what are the tips on how do we accomplish that?
Okay, so look, the one that comes up a lot is, of course, smile, which you're doing very well. I'm working very hard to keep my smile going. And this is obvious to everybody listening and watching this. Smile is good. Smile is a universal signal for, is good now. I'm friendly now. It's a good place now. But here's the thing about smiling, is that it's very hard to do when your mood is not in a good mood. You leak signals of anxiety, which easily get mistaken for the signals of enemy. So I'm not going to try and put a lot of effort into my smile, because I know if I'm having a bad day, it's going to leak across. I've got to try to smile, but what I want to avoid is this smile which is put on here, where you can't see it in my eyes, because the muscles here aren't making the crinkles here. So there's a true smile, which I'm doing for you now, and there's the ones where the eyes drop out and I just do this. So, one of the things that I first got across in my book, Winning Body Language, and is in the new book, Winning Body Language for Sales, is that it's actually what we do with the bulk of the rest of our body that defines if we're a friend or not. And I'm just going to stand up and move back a little bit so you can see more of my body,
Okay.
I'll just tilt this camera up.
Okay. And I can still hear you great.
Great. So now you can see more of me. So look, I'm going to just show you two things, okay? There's this person here, and I just want you to notice exactly where I'm gesturing, which is I'm using open hand gestures, open palms. Okay. I'm at exactly belly button height.
Okay.
Here, okay? And I keep revealing this part of my body. So just make your quick assessment. There's this person here, and I want you to think, how much can you trust me to help you through the sales process? And now all I'm going to do is drop my hands down by the side. Now, you won't be able to see my hands now, but that's okay. I just want you to assess this person's body. I'm here to help you through the sales process. And just think, how much can you trust this person? So there's me, or there's me here. Yeah. Now understand, you're making an unconscious decision about how you think I feel towards you based on being this person here or this person here. So just tell me now, how do you, just give me some ideas, how do you feel about this person who has a product or a service for you today, Mary?
Well, when you're using your hands where you position them, you seem very relaxed, confident, and engaged. And when you just drop your hands, it seems like you'd rather be anywhere else.
Right. So here's the thing, look, the reality is I've dropped my hands down by my side, but mentally I'm still engaged. Mentally I want to do this interview with you, but you can't see that in me. So you get what's called a theory of mind based on my body. And your theory is that I'm disengaged. Now, I'm as engaged as I was before. So this meeting, this sales meeting that we're having here now might not go so well. But I'll walk away going, but I was very engaged with Mary. I thought it was a great interview, and I think we did very, very well. It's just you didn't see it. Now, alternatively, there's this person here when we first meet. So I approach you, we're going to sit down together, we're going to talk, and this is the first person you see, okay, instead of this person here. Now, again, tell me about this person and what you see with this person in front of
you. Well, I wouldn't want to disturb you because you might be deep in prayer, but you're definitely not in the room with me.
So I reckon you probably feel a little more confident about this person, for sure. Now I'm going to move my hands up to here. So I'm giving you 3 levels at which I can hold my hands. And here's somebody who you first meet, this person here. Okay, tell me a little bit about this person and how you feel the sales process might go for you now up here.
Probably more high strung.
Right. Right. So this person's a bit high strung. This person you don't think is bothered about you. And I would guess that this person here you feel is the most calm and assertive.
Exactly.
Yeah, I might seem a little bit contemplative when I place my hands like this.
Yes.
But I guess you feel safe with this person. A little unsure about this person and a little unsure about this person here. So based on that, I need to spend a lot of time with you like this, with my hands in what I call the truth plane.
Okay.
And across the world, cross culture, this gesture is the one considered most as being from somebody who you can trust, somebody who's being honest, and somebody who's telling you the truth.
Okay.
So this is the gesture that I advise people to use in order to win that trust very, very quickly and get into friend category instantly rather than enemy category, which can easily happen here. I mean, there's other gestures that will get you into enemy category, which are ones that will make you look big and aggressive. Okay. Stuff like this, where I've made the upper portion of my body look bigger. There's others which, again, probably make you look smaller and less aggressive. And again, this looks like somebody who might not be able to serve you so well. Doesn't have a lot of power. So, the upshot of all this is that we make our initial decisions about who we work with and who we trust based on the body. When you put your hands in that truth plane, and even as I'm talking to you now, that's where I have my hands. Although you can't see them so well, it affects my voice. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is I've just dropped my hands down by my side now, or into my lap as I'm talking to you. I want you to hear immediately how that's changed my voice and changed the mood of our call together. Now all I'm going to do is lift my hands up to where my belly button is, and they're doing open palm gestures. Again, I think you'll probably hear how this has already changed the mood.
It's raised it up a bit, yeah. Well, that's interesting because then if body language is affecting tone, then you're talking more like 90+% of how you communicate.
Absolutely. So there's the words and there's the tone in the words. And I can change the tone, which affects the meaning, based on what I do with my body. If I bring my hands up here, and this will get quite distracting because now they're in the frame and they're being quite rapid and they're up at the chest area, which I call the passion plane. Okay, you get very, very passionate when you bring your hands up to here. So this might be more exciting for you, but it might be quite distracting. But notice already what it's done to my voice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can take my hands out the frame there and bring them up to here. My hands are still there, and now you're still getting that rapid, excited voice, and you can't see my hands anymore. Again, notice what happens when I drop my hands down by my side and start to talk to you.
Okay.
It doesn't have that excitement anymore. So again, where you place the horizontal level that you place your hands has a huge effect on the feeling that other people have about you, and therefore the feeling that they have about your product and service.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to that when they buy from you, certainly at that initial point, they're buying into you, and they're buying into the intention and feeling that you have towards them. They're buying into the relationship they believe they're going to have with you, and they're imposing that relationship or that perceived relationship on the product and service, their relationship to the product and service. So if you believe that we'll have a friendly relationship, you believe that we'll have a friendly relationship with the product or the service.
Okay, makes perfect sense. Now, Mark, you also coach on how to read others' body language. And is there anything you can do about it if you have somebody with their arms dropped to the side, seemingly disengaged?
Sure. So here's the first thing I want to tell you about reading other body language is that on the whole, it's very hard for us to get it right, to be able to read it correctly, spot on, dead, 100% certain. Okay. What it is a rough prediction. Okay. And a very rough prediction. Often it's about 50-50 chance as to, because look, if I give you this gesture, moving that so you can see, if I give you this gesture here, you'll read a whole bunch of body language books, and they'll probably tell you, in fact they will because I've read them all, they'll tell you that this means that somebody's closed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it doesn't mean that at all. It could mean one of about 7 things. Okay, I could be cold. We've got a couple of glands under here that when the temperature is down, we'll often do this in order to keep warm. We often do this in order to stay awake, because the higher our hands go, the higher our arms go, the higher the heart rate and blood pressure, and therefore the more we stay awake. So this could be I'm trying to stay awake. It could be I'm cold. It could be I'm closed. But if I've got strong eye contact with you and I'm smiling and I'm nodding my head as I'm talking, this is not likely to mean closed. Now, however, if I'm like this and my head goes down to one side and I'm not looking at you and I'm shaking my head maybe as you're talking, that's a pretty good indicator that I'm not engaged with you.
Okay, so put together multiple signals.
Absolutely. So in body language, we call them clusters, and you've got to put together multiple clusters. So here's the thing, is that our intelligent brain, our neocortex, which organizes things like language, that's a lot of information for it to put together. So if I'm trying to make a relationship with you and sell with you and lead you on a sales journey, it takes up a lot of my brain space in order to read clusters of body language, and I might still get them wrong. So what I want to do instead is get a gut feeling for you, a general impression. And a good general impression is to go, are you open or are you closed? Yeah, are you open or are you closed? Now I'm looking at you, Mary, and I just go, so you're open. Yeah, that's my gut feeling about you. You're open. Yeah, you're getting great eye contact with me. There's something about your face that says to me, you're open. Your eyes are open. You smile. There's all of, and I can mirror that back.
Okay.
Just as I start nodding, you start nodding. Yeah. So even over Skype here, we're already doing what's called mirroring each other. We have limbic resonance going on. Now, if your mood were to change, if I started to feel, I think I've lost her, I think something's changed here, that change, if it gives me a gut feeling, I go, something's happened. I think she's closed.
Okay.
What I
so
might
if I
do,
kind of got small and...
Absolutely. If you make what seems to be, from my point of view, quite a big gesture like that, it might be quite small actually in your chair, but for me it looks quite big. I would maybe ask you, use that as an indicator to ask you a question. Yeah. And I might go, hey, Mary, I just noticed that you kind of shifted back a little bit when I was talking about being closed. Is there anything that I could just help you understand better about that? Or is there something that didn't quite work for you in what I was saying? Yeah. So I indicate that I've seen a shift in you, and I indicate a couple of possibilities that might have caused that shift, and I indicate that I'd like to put it right.
Okay.
Now that can allow you to go, oh no, Mark, I was just, I'm getting a bit tired in my seat. I was just sitting back and using the backrest. It allows you to do that, or you can go, yeah, I didn't quite understand the thing about open or closed. I'm a bit worried about that, and I can go, well, let me explain it better, or I can go, well, let's not just worry about that for the moment. Let's shift on to something else. Yeah, more important.
So I'm glad you made this point because in the past when I've been taught mirroring, it's pretty much mirror back what the prospect's doing so they feel like you're like them and then slowly take them to where you want to be. But really what you're saying is mirror the good stuff and use the closed language as an indicator to ask questions, and that's how you open them up. You don't mirror the bad stuff.
That's perfect. That's exactly it. Because if we take that mirroring idea to its logical end, I should mirror everything that you do. And if you do negatives, I should start to mirror that as well, until we both spiral.
Then we're both closed.
Disassociation with each other. Of course that's going to happen. If you start giving negative body language and I copy, we'll spiral into a negative. I need us to spiral into a positive, because there's so much product and service out there for you to get involved in. I need, for when we get together and I'm selling to you and I'm taking you on a sales journey, I need this to be a great experience for you. I don't need it to be a negative experience for you. Of course, there's going to be negative areas of it that I need to help you through, but I don't need to go there with you. Yes, there is something called empathy, and there's emotional empathy, which is when I get involved in your emotion and I copy it. And there's something called cognitive empathy, which is when I recognize your feeling, I accept your feeling, but I don't have to do the feeling as well. Okay. So I believe in sales, we want to do more cognitive empathy more than actual emotional empathy, which is that if you're upset, I get upset as well. You know, something has gone wrong. If you're angry at the service that essentially I sold you in the end, that I get angry as well. No, I just need to understand you're angry, yeah, and move us into a more positive frame of mind. So the first thing I would say about reading body language is you get a gut feeling for it. Are they open or are they closed? You want them to be open, so you need to present open body language. So, for example, I would say this is not open body language. Yeah, I could be very open in my mind, yeah, but I don't think I'm really sure. This is not the kind of thing that I personally do when I'm very open to situations, yeah?
Right.
This, for me, is open body language. The more I do this, the more likely you'll mirror me, because we're designed to mirror each other anyway.
Right.
Yeah. The whole pacing and leading idea, a mirroring idea, that happens naturally anyway. Yeah. So I'm going to mirror you. You're going to mirror me, whatever happens.
Exactly. And I love the distinction of the cognitive empathy, because it really gives us the ability to stay authentic with ourselves. Because if you're in a meeting with somebody that's got this frenetic energy and they're talking up here all the time, it's exhausting if that's not who you are to have to mirror that. And if you're with somebody that you're amazed that they're not in a coma, it's hard to mirror that back too. So if that isn't who you are, you can recognize that in them without having to do the same.
So not only can you do that, but if you're able to recognize the feeling that they have, and also tell them about the feeling that you'd like them to have, you can shift them. So I can mirror for a bit, and I can go, I'm loving the energy that you have for this idea so far, for this product so far. What I want us to do is just sit back a little bit and really consider, what will this do for the company? What will this do for the margin, for the profit margin? Because I want us to really look at the figures here and look in a really straight mathematical way at how big the margin is going to increase. And then, if we want to get excited about it again, that's fine. But let's just sit back and look at the figures. Okay. So it allows me to go, I love the emotion that you're having. And here's another one we could have as well, which might be good for the sales journey that we're on. Because when I was writing winning body language for sales professionals, one thing that I wanted to do was to make sure that we were taking people through quite a long sales cycle sometimes. I know, there'll be people listening to us now, and some of them will have a short sales cycle, could be a few minutes, could be a number of hours, could be weeks, could be months. Some of them will be on long sales cycles. It could be anything up to 3-5 years at the most extreme of those sales cycles. And we know during those that our potential clients and customers go through a whole range of emotions, a whole range of situations with us. And so the one thing I wanted to do was make sure that there was all the information there for you to be able to take people and influence and persuade them on that longer journey as well as that shorter journey through the sale.
Okay. Mark, is there anything that we should be paying attention to body language wise as we're analyzing our clients' needs?
Yeah, for sure. So it's certainly a case of, as you're interviewing that client and getting to know them and getting to feel what they need and what they don't need, they're going to say stuff, okay? And you're also going to see their body do stuff as they say it. So there's what we say and there's what we do. And sometimes we'll tell people what we think they want to hear. Yeah, we'll tell them what we think they think is smart, rather than what we know deep inside is our real feeling about it. So, I might be buying some software solution from you, and I might say, well, it's really about, accounting really want this. They'd be able to work faster and better through this. So I start talking to you about accounting, but you get a sense in my body that I'm not really engaged talking about that. So I might want to say to you, so I hear you talking about accounting, really needing this, and I think that's really important. But is there anything else? Is there anybody else that really needs this? And look, just for a moment, what about you? What does this really mean to you if you were to make this purchase? And you might find out it's about them, really. It's about a feeling that they have, something to do with their status, maybe, that they need to make this, they need to get this software in order to improve their status within the company. Maybe something about certainty. They're uncertain about their position, and they feel that this product or service, it might improve that certainty. So, look, I would say people are never buying things, they're buying feelings. Yeah, they have feelings of an emptiness. Some people call that pain. Yeah, they have a feeling of pain, of emptiness, that they haven't got something, and they want to move towards a good feeling, yeah, of some sort. So they want to move from a bad feeling to a good feeling, because if they didn't, nothing really would ever happen if that were the case. Yeah. Now, there's stuff they'll talk about in terms of what that pain will be, and there's the feeling that they give off around that, and you should be able to see that in the body language. Now, again, I don't want to go into being able to read that body language in detail, because it's too detailed, it's too complex. But what I do want people to do is get used to having a gut feeling about, is the person open or are they closed around this, and then using that to ask questions and using that to pull out needs, rather than a list of questions that we might have. Does that make sense, Jim?
Yep. And that's a good diagnostic to understand if they're open or closed during that journey. And then how do you redirect?
Sure, exactly. So if I take them down a line of questioning and I can start to see that they maybe start to sit back, they maybe start to look off into the distance, they're getting involved in other stuff, they look down and away, they're shaking their head more, doesn't feel engaged to me. Now I could be wrong. Okay, here's the thing: is I could be wrong. There could be a number of reasons why they're doing that. But previously, in my line of questioning and interview, they were forward in their chair. They were quite excited. And they were quite engaged about it. So I need to go, look, I noticed when I started questioning around timelines on this, that you kind of sat back and for me, you felt a little less engaged. So I'm wondering, is timelines really anything that we need to talk about right now? And they may go, oh, no, it is. I was actually thinking, what are the timelines? Or they may go, yeah, actually, it's not really an issue for me. Or they might go, yeah, I was getting a bit distressed about that because I need it immediately.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to notice what happens with the potential client or customer, okay? I'm going to notice differences. Some of them could be big, some of them could be subtle. Either way, they're going to cause a gut reaction in me, a gut feeling, yeah? And I'm going to use that to dig for more verbal data. And I'm never going to go, oh, this means they're disengaged. I don't need to ask. They're disengaged, I'm walking out the room. Yeah, this sale is dead. Okay, that's a presumption. I want to question. If I think they're disengaged and this sale is dead, I'm going to go, so here's the thing. When I started talking about some aspects of this product, it felt to me like you really, disengaged. And I could be wrong because I read body language wrong all the time. Yeah, but I just want to check in with you. Should we move forward on this? Or should we leave it for another time, another day, maybe check back with you in 3 years' time, or never, is an option. And at least then, even if they say, hey, never, then I can go,
and you can confirm.
Thanks for telling me that. And I can move on, or I can go, so who in the organization should I be talking to right now?
Right. Well, that's so smart not to presume that take it as a signal. Right. That you need to probe, because they could have wandered off to a different place mentally because you hit on something important and they went off into that land and, mentally left the room with you, which you'd want to know, versus they're totally disengaged. You have to ask the question.
Right. Certainly when I'm out there selling what I do, I can often see my potential clients disengage. Yeah. And look, sometimes I might have sold badly and they've disengaged, but a lot of the time they might be disengaging to think, so how am I going to tell this story to my CEO and sell it up there? Yeah. So they're watching me and they're going, can I pitch this like Mark's pitching it? Yeah. Because, we all end up often selling to gatekeepers, first of all.
Right.
And they're often trying to work out, how will this make me look in the organization? What are they doing? They're seeing pictures of how they look. And that's great information. That's great data for me. If they go, hey, I was just imagining how I'm going to pitch this to the leadership. And then I can go, well, that's really important. How are you feeling about that at the moment? Because I can help you, by the way, tell this story and sell this, upstairs. And that causes relief in them. And we're back on track again.
Fabulous. Now, you also talk about how you can use body language to create influence, which, of course, is important when we're to the sales presentation part of our sales cycle. So do you have tips for us there on how we can actually establish influence with our body language?
Sure. So what influence means is it's from a Latin word meaning to get in flow, to get in the river with. Okay. So the most important thing about influence is it's not argument. Influence is not argument. Argument is something completely different. So what we want to do in influence is to pick up on the mood of the people in the presentation, pick up on the environment, take that, move along with it some way, and then shift it, persuade, as we call it, shift it hard. So persuade means to move hard. Influence means to get in the river with, to go along with the flow, and then persuade means to shift hard. So the first thing we need to do as we go into that environment and we're there to present and we're there to influence is we need to join in with what's happening in the room. Yeah. So I need to pick up on the body language of the other people there, and get involved with the mood, so long as it's a good mood. If it's a bad mood, I don't need to get involved in that. Yeah, but I need to pick up on how do they present that they're in a good mood. So some organizations that I go along to, they're in a good mood and they're up in the passion plane here. Okay, they're positive and they're up here. And I'll join them up here. Yeah, and I'll start my presentation up here. Now I might move down to the truth plane eventually. Yeah, I might even talk about my competitors and go down to what I call the grotesque plane, which is when I put my hands down by my side. Yeah, because I can actually say some very good things about my competitors. But if my hands are down by my side, the audience's primitive brain negates those good things because they weren't presented with a good body. Okay? So, but if the audience, for a starter, up in passion, that's where I want to be with them. And I also want to make sure to influence and persuade them that I give them plenty of status. By giving them social status, by making sure they have resource, they have position and rank, so I don't come in and outrank them and outstatus them. That causes the amounts of dopamine in their brain to go up. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, and it makes us feel good. So again, I can make them feel good by raising their rank and raising their status, okay. Which means, for example, if they're close by, if I'm presenting around a boardroom and I've got some people very close to me, I probably don't want to stand up and present. So I'm going to stand up and present to you now, and you'll notice that it means that my eye line is way above yours. Mm-hmm. Okay? And this will be causing your primitive brain to feel overshadowed. And in fact, I've noticed a change in your face already.
Well, it's funny because my mind just went off thinking that's how most boardroom presentations that I've been in are set up.
Right, exactly. So we're called what's compromised. Okay? I've got to know that if I've got if you're my key decision maker, okay, and I've put you so close to me that when I stand to present, because I might want to stand, okay, because I might want to stand up for what I'm saying. Yeah, it might be important. But if you're here and I'm going to outrank you in height, your primitive brain won't like me. Therefore, you're going to stop sending the data that I'm giving you to your intelligent brain. Okay? So my guess is you're not feeling so good about me. So it might be better, actually, if I did this presentation sitting down where our eye line is a little more level. Yeah? It may be best, actually, if I want to stand up for what I'm saying, it may be better, actually, if I stand up and I just take some distance from you. Okay. And I show you more of my body. Yeah. And if I'm going to do that and I think, well, this is maybe not within the culture of the boardroom, yeah, I'll go, look, I tell you what, I'll be sitting down with you and I'll say, I want to present to you the product that I have, and I'm going to present standing up because there's a whole bunch of the product that I want to show you, and it's just easier for me to be able to have a bit of freedom with the movement there. So I'm just going to stand up and present this to you now. So that's giving us distance. Uh-huh. Yeah, that means you can see more of my body. Yeah. That means that because I've got distance and height, I don't outrank you. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, and you're not looking down so much.
I'm not looking down. Again, I just want everybody watching to notice what happens when I present to you here. You probably even notice a different tone in my voice that happens when I notice that I'm looking down at you. Okay. Yeah? And I want the people listening and watching this now to get a sense of how do they feel about me now. They had feelings about me before, yeah, and about how much I could help them with body language. And now I want you to get a sense of how much you feel I can help you now with body language. It's a gut feeling. Let me take you back to this person here who has the same eye line as you. How do you feel that this person can help you now? My guess is I've gone up in ranking.
Right.
In terms of trust, you trust me more now, yeah? And you're buying trust all the time. because you've probably never used this product or this service. You're probably never going to use it until the point where we press go on it and you've already bought. I mean, yes, there potentially could be a demonstration, but it may be such a thing that you just buy, you press go, and that's it. And at that point, you find out, did it work for you or not work for you? Everything up until that point is, how much do you trust me and the stories that I might bring you of other users of this product or service?
So, Mark, I like a couple of things that you've shared with us already feed beautifully, I think, into a virtual sales situation with some of our viewers actually doing more work on the phone, that your body language is still impacting your tone. So, still live the good body language. And then via web conference or that sort of thing, Skype interview like we're doing right now, I always give the experts the tip, don't be looking down into your camera because we're just looking up your nose then. But you just modeled that that's also a very dominant position to put yourself in, so you're not communicating well.
Exactly. And here's the interesting thing is that our environment will always change the way we behave. Yeah. So if you tell me, you say to me, Mark, what I don't want is for the camera to look up your nose. Okay. If I were to keep my normal office environment to do this interview now, that's what you get. Because what I've got is, I've just moved offices. So I've got a moving box, a big, tall moving box with a crate on top of it, which is actually put my computer at this height to me. And normally on a desk, it would be way, way lower.
Exactly.
Okay? Put this up really high. Because otherwise, you would be seeing that.
Yeah.
That's where this would be. Now, it meant that, last night, what I had to do was set all of this up so that I'd wake up this morning, come to the office and know this is all set up for me to be at the correct height. So actually, my camera is right at eye level.
Okay.
Moment to try and give me the best chance of getting eye contact with you as much as possible, and that level eye contact. That's taken effort on my part to set this up, and I had to set it up beforehand, because if I don't, first thing in the morning, I'll default to, you know what, it's fine on the desktop. I'll just do the call like that. You know what, I got a great product. I got a great service, so they'll buy that.
Right.
Be okay. They'll buy that. And of course, yes, they might, but, and yes, maybe this angle is only giving me, 5% advantage. Well, if it's only giving me 5% advantage, I still want it.
Exactly.
In fact, I still need it. In fact, my shareholders probably demand it from me. 5% advantage for a shareholder is a huge thing. So I must take the advantage, and I must put the work in beforehand. I know some people out there, they even have a Skype setup. They've got a separate computer that they might use, just set up on a kind of a trolley stand thing, and they move that around, and it's a great setup.
So they know it's always there.
Absolutely.
So, Mark, there is so much that we can cover for body language. Where can our viewers go if they really want to dive deeper so they can be more effective at 90% of our communication?
Absolutely. So go along to www.truthplane.com, TruthPlane, truthplane.com.
Okay.
And you'll be able to look at winning body language here.
Okay.
And also the book that was the precursor to that, which is just Winning Body Language. The last one is Winning Body Language for Sales Professionals. So go along, and of course you can find Winning Body Language for Sales Professionals at Amazon and all the usual book places, and you can grab it there. But truthplane.com is the place to go.
Fabulous. Now, you must have some fascinating transformation stories from your clients with the impact that you can make with body language. Do you have a favorite story you can share?
Sure. So there's been a whole heap, but the stories that I like the most are often stories of promotion. Yeah, where actually people have moved often from sales to sales leadership with this work. Now, and they've done that because they're able to get a more calm, assertive way of being, not only with their clients, but with the other salespeople that they want to lead. So I haven't got any. I can't name names and companies. But just to say, my favorite stories, and there's been a number of watching clients of mine go to the yearly sales meeting, this time as vice president sales, not just for a region, but for the whole company, and stand up and make that speech in front of everybody and inspire all of those other salespeople, with their communication skill. So that's always for me hugely satisfying to see the leadership skill that this work can bring out. And if you think about how that leadership skill can help you take your clients on a sales journey, I think it's pretty impressive.
Fun. And as people are working on really starting to pay attention to their body language, where do you find that they trip up? Where do they get stuck as they're trying to become more effective?
Right. I think the places to trip up is trying to read other people's body language.
Okay.
And look, many people listening, watching today have got involved in neuro-linguistic programming. I would think it's a great area. I studied myself. Extraordinary area, but they get involved in trying to read eye accessing cues, trying to judge exactly what the mood of somebody is. And by the time they've actually done it, the client has gone.
Okay.
I can't have. I think I have how they were feeling. I think that they were,
5 minutes ago.
Yeah, 5 minutes ago. So I would say take the pressure off trying to read people and lead them.
Okay.
And when you're leading them, understand that we follow the clearest, most consistent signal in the room. So keep your body language clear and consistent. And what I mean by unclear and inconsistent would be that if you start to use a lot of asymmetrical gestures and you change those up all the time, you'll notice that what I'm doing is being very unclear and inconsistent now. And you'll probably notice that I'm very difficult to read now, and it's more difficult for you to judge the words that I'm saying. And I look muddled and I feel muddled now. Notice what happens when I get clear and consistent with my body language. So all I'm doing is doing gestures in the truth plane. I'm keeping pretty much still, and I'm going to do this, for as long as it takes with you. This is going to be my default with you. It'll be clear and consistent, and that will mean that you can mirror me. You can't mirror stuff that you can't copy. And this is so inconsistent and unclear that you can't copy this. Therefore, your mind will have to disappear somewhere else so it can copy something in its imagination, or you'll have to get up and leave, so that you're able to find somebody you can mirror. Okay. So I would say, stop trying to read other people, and get a gut feeling about them instead, and try and lead in the clearest, most consistent way you can.
Okay. And Mark, to wrap up, if there's one thing that you would say our viewers could do today to increase their success, what would that be?
Well, of course, it would be by winning body language for sales professionals. But in fact, let me just give you the best technique from that. So if you didn't want to go and buy it, look, you've got the best technique anyway. And it's what I showed you before, hands in the truth plane. Yeah. Okay. Symmetrical gestures at belly height, open hands. Across all my experience with salespeople, with leaders, with world politicians that I've trained, that is the number one way to win trust immediately with the audience. I would just go out and do that immediately, now, as much as possible. And you will see your confidence and your ability to engage that prospect escalate phenomenally. Yeah, so do the truth plane, I would say.
I love it. I love it. Thanks so much, Mark. Really, I was thinking you were going to double our effectiveness at communication, but really it's more 95% improvement. So that's a pretty good return on a 45-minute conversation. I appreciate it so much.
My pleasure. Great to speak to you.
Thank you, and thanks to our viewers for tuning in and investing in your own success. The Sales Mastery Summit is here to help you never stop learning from the best. Take care.